So as an adult that has a number of sensory issues, with children that have sensory issues and with anxiety issues, I really wanted to talk about this today because I think that these are kids that are underserved and not always understood. And so in this idea today, I want to talk about things you can do, a few quick ways that you can help students that might have an anxiety disorder or struggle with some sort of sensory overload when in your classroom. Here we go. All right, so on the front end, this is stuff as usual that I have just found that works in my classroom, right? I didn't do like research to find this. I just tried a whole bunch of different stuff. I raised kids that needed this stuff. I've taught kids that needed this stuff, and I have my own sensory issues. So I want to say the third thing is my favorite and is, I think, the most interesting, but there's two quick ways on the front end that you can just help kids in your classroom. One is noticing things like the lighting in your classroom. Is the lighting too bright? Is it flashing off of stuff? Do you have blinky lights all over your classroom that are going to be a bother and be distracting to kids or make them feel overloaded? Although they look cool, some things look cool, but if education's only ever about the students, we need to be looking at our classrooms, looking at the learning experience through the lens of the kids. And so what are they experiencing? And that create an enjoyable and safe learning experience for them. The other thing is the sound. Sometimes it's like we just keep turning up the volume because the kids keep getting louder. We let kids make noise, and although they're not making too much noise and what they're doing isn't that bad, is what someone else is doing stealing from the learning experience of another student. And that is incredibly important to keep in mind. So being mindful of, are the shows that we're watching too bright, loud, or flashy? Is what someone else is doing, if they're being too loud, too disruptive, if they're just taking a test and going like this, or if you have drummers in your class, are they driving someone else nuts? Being mindful, just having your radar up, can't solve everything, and we want kids to advocate for themselves, but we want to be mindful of looking around us and seeing what is around them. I think the third thing that really helps and is kind of came up as a fad in the last few years and then was swiftly sort of whisked away is this idea of having fidgets, right? Fidget spinners were all the rage like 7 or 8 years ago, and they've kind of fallen out, but there's a number, I think, that gave birth to this idea that something might be needed, and then there's all kinds of weird stuff out now. I want to talk to you about some of those weird things, about the things I like and the things I don't like. And I keep them in boxes or briefcases in my classroom and drawers. I have a metric ton of these. So with that, I'm talk to you about some of my some of my favorite fidgets. Some of my favorites, here we go. Of the enormous amount of fidgets that I've had in my classroom. And so I think that there's a little bit of a distinction that I'd like to make in that fidgets are a tool. That when we have students that are struggling with things like anxiety or ADHD, and they need something to keep their hands busy so that their mind can focus, something that's going to help them to regulate the feelings that they're having. And so what I want to do is teach students to use these as a tool and not as like a status symbol or something that's going to distract them or others in the classroom. And so first, a few that I don't particularly care for, and then I'm going to show you some of my favorites, and then I'm going to show you some that will benefit, even kids that don't really need it, like it sometimes. So I'll break it all down for you. But some that I don't care for are like regular old fidget spinners. I think they're distracting. They fall, they become a status symbol. And so does someone have this? Or does someone have like a fancy one, looks like spinning rims over here, 2001?
How's it look?
It is something that is more distracting because people want to see them. When they fall, they make all kinds of noise, and it's a pain. Along the lines of that, I think some things are better at home, but at school, I'm grossed out by them. So they have jewelry. I'm not sure if you've seen this or heard of it before, but it's basically jewelry that you chew. So kids put this in their mouth, they chomp on it. I will not demonstrate that for you now because I don't know where this has been. But I will say that on this particular piece, there's tiny little dots on the back, and there's larger dots like the size of a Lego on the front. And so these are nice because you can manipulate them in your hand and feel that texture And that can have a positive impact on students. I've had a lot of kids like these, but it's the putting things in your mouth and then taking them out to talk to me. And now it's freaking me out. So it's not helping me. So it's not helping any of us. I also depends on the version of this, but these bubble poppers, I think I got this one at Five Below. I have a whole bunch of them in here, and some of them are fine. Again, these often end up being a status symbol because how large is yours? What does it look like? Is it new? Is it whatever? The noise can be distracting. What I don't want is for something that is soothing to one student to be distracting to another, because now I'm just playing whack-a-mole. So these aren't a favorite of mine. They do have some that are of a softer plastic, some that only have 2 bubbles on them that you can use as a keychain. You can connect it to your backpack or to, your belt or something like that. Those are a little bit better, but by and large, not my favorite thing in the world. And if we're going down the rabbit hole of things that can get annoying but are cool looking, like super cute, super cool looking.
Shut up, kids!
In the hands of the wrong child. This sounds like this the whole period. Other things that are cool but sometimes distracting, like they have all of these sorts of things. They can come apart. You can do cool stuff with them, but what I want is something that you are having in your hand or under your desk or in your pocket that is helping you to create a level of calm and a level of focus in yourself. And so if it becomes a spaceship or something else, is taking the focus off of what we were doing at the moment. And that is something I don't want to happen. And then the last one, I think I have 2 more. Take that one to the next level. And there's this cube that I can't really figure out, which would mean that I am not really paying attention in class. How in the world do you do this? There we go. Oh, that just exploded into a psychedelic experience. On an airplane, on the bus, but I don't even know how to put that one back. And then maybe my least favorite is this situation, right? That's not annoying. And okay. So some things that I do like. I like stuff that is not precious. The reason for that is if you as a teacher are purchasing this out of your own pocket, which I would always say that you go to your special ed department, you go to your principal, vice principal, try and find other ways to fund this. Even if that's the case, you only have so much you can use in a year. When we make any kind of fidget or something of that nature, when it's precious, when it costs a lot of money, if you lose it, if a kid walks off with it, if they misplace it, if it gets broken, if it gets destroyed, which is the same thing as broken, then you're out. By finding things that are usable, by finding things that are cheap and effective, I think that's kind of the sweet spot in what we're doing here. So one of my favorites, pipe cleaners. They're just something that a kid can wrap around their finger. They can wrap around their pencil or their pen. They don't cost a lot of money. They can just feel the fuzziness of it. It's the bending of it. It's the tightening it around their fingers. There's a lot of different reasons that I love this, but mostly it's because it's really inexpensive and it is wildly effective. Others are Silly Putty. I get these, a bunch of them at a time. You can buy them on Amazon. I'll leave links for all of this stuff below. But Silly Putty's great, and the little egg that it comes in can be reused as well. And so we use these a lot in class. My daughter makes these out of beads, and I will put a link for this below because I don't know how to make this. But she found it on TikTok. She was making bracelets, and they're just simple beaded bracelets with an elastic cord. We got everything from the craft store, and she'll wear these and she can play with them. She can keep them in her pocket. Or she made these little stars. She loved these so much that she started making them for her friends who started telling their other friends. And then everybody, I think she made probably 20 of these this year for different students. Some students that she doesn't even know, because they can be manipulated. They can be kept in your pocket, and they're really cute. They also make these like weird rubber things, which are kind of cool. They collect a lot of hair and dust and crap. These are cool if you don't have a whole classroom of kids. If you have, I'm just gonna say middle school, early high school boys, and you have these things, someone's getting whacked with this. Someone's getting hit with it when you're not looking. It's the same reason I don't give out rubber bands. I know a lot of teachers give out rubber bands. Kids can snap them against themselves and stuff, but these end up just getting, in my experience, flung across the classroom, as did these little jewels right here. But at home, these are awesome. My kids play with them. I play with them. If I'm on a phone call, I love playing with something like this. While we're talking about squishy stuff, they have these balls. They have big ones, like these larger size and smaller size. These are also, can get a little gross, but I especially like the smaller one. I think the big one is too big. People end up throwing them in class. But something like this, you can just keep it in your hand. You have it in your pocket. You're carried around with you. And I just think that it doesn't make much noise, not any noisier than anything else, but those are fun too. Or Slinkies. Get these at like Party City or on Amazon. And I have students that love Slinkies. They can imagine with them if they want to, if there's a time for that. But mostly it's like just having that little Slinky in your pocket that you can kind of feel. Let's go weird for a minute, right? I have a bunch of weird stuff, right? As usual. If you watch my channel before, you know I like weird stuff. I found at Five Below a series of food products. One is this hot dog, one is an eggplant, and one is a banana. And they stretch, they go back together with some work I won't do right now. These are just funny to me. These are weird things that if kids want something, if they need to stay quiet, and you get, this one doesn't stretch, it just squeezes. But I just think it is hilarious that like someone was like, what could we make that would help kids? Someone in the Five Below team was like, I think an eggplant. And then someone said, no, bro, no, I got you. A stretchable hot dog. And then someone said, a banana that once you squeeze it, it'll look like this. There was a whole meeting for this. There was a whole production meeting. I appreciate it. And all of these three you can put googly eyes on also, so they can also become just mascots in your classroom, and it's hilarious. Other weird things are, I have this bag here called Random Stuff. I have a whole drawer in my classroom of just random crap. So this is, there's dice in here, there's dominoes, there's Scrabble pieces, anything that's little. And I just find this. I find this stuff on the floor, game pieces, just on the street. Whenever I find weird little crap, I pick it up, put it in my pocket, bring it to school, put it in there. And I mean, that goes with like rubber ducks, with rubber frogs. I don't know why I have so many rubberized animals in my house. Little finger puppet dudes that you can get at the dollar store, Five Below. It's just, it's pocket size. It doesn't make a lot of noise. It's not precious to me. And if a kid really, really, really wants to keep this, it's like, go, yeah, you got it. Put some googly eyes on that thing, write your name on the bottom, and you're out the door. And then there's, you know, it's endless. There's tons of little things that you can play with and do with. Sometimes instead of these, I get these little stretchy men from the store too. This guy's clearly been, he's been stretched so much his clothes came off. But they're just kind of funny and amusing, and they help. Last thing, I think for my money, the thing that works the best is they make these little strips, and here's a series of them, and they have different feelings on them. These were the expensive ones. I don't remember what brand this is, but we bought them online, and I didn't really care for them. They make a similar version that is sold at Five Below that is, I just think, way better. Even better than this, Velcro. And so here's what I suggest doing with either one of these different items, right? Is when you have Velcro, you have the rough side and this kind of softer side. I don't know anyone that likes the rough side, but these softer ones, I peel them off, or you can get a roll of Velcro and I put it under the student's desk, like right under the lip. You can also do that with these little sensory strips right here too. And when that's underneath, now a student can just feel under their desk, and you want to make sure that the under your desk isn't gross. There's not like gum there or something, but I just wipe it with a sanitizing wipe or Lysol wipe, and then you're touching the bottom of this, and it just gives kids something soft to feel and to touch, and it's there every day. They don't have to forget it. It's not too big, it falls out of their pocket. They didn't forget it. It's not causing a distraction. It's definitely not giving them a psychedelic experience. To me, something like that, even a piece of Velcro on a pen, on the tip of a pencil, these are all things that kind of soothe. Students are constantly trying to self-soothe. Whether your students are chewing on bottle caps or they want to keep their sweatshirt over their neck or their hood on their head. These are all ways that kids are trying their best to soothe themselves. And so by giving them something that's going to help them to take the edge off, to be able to pay attention, to be able to cope in the middle of a stressful situation, I mean, I think we need to be giving our students something, or at least letting them know what is available should their parents want to purchase it. But having something in your classroom that kids can play with, that isn't precious, that isn't a status symbol, but that's going to help them to be the student that they always dreamed of being. And so I'm curious, before you go, what is something that you use in your classroom? What is something that you have seen work, and what doesn't work? What can't you stand? What gets in the way? I think both these are going to help all of us. So, if you could just go ahead and leave that in the comment and hit the like button and thumbs up button and all that other stuff, we'd really appreciate it. That's it, gang. We'll see you next time. Peace.